Hello my friends and welcome to the video. I hope you're all doing well today. I want to talk to you about snap types inside of the main project window of Cubase or grid settings. I feel like some of the different options that are available are widely overlooked by many users and they're very useful. Most people will just default to using the normal grid setting and use either quantize, beat or bar. But there are some additional ones that are very handy to use. So let's cover those. Now, grid, as I say, is the most used one. If you have it snapped to the grid and it's set to bar, that means the event will always snap to the first beat of every bar, like so. If we have this set to beat, that means the event will snap to every beat of the bar, or these other darker lines here. Now, if we set this to quantize, obviously we can change the various different subdivision settings. So if I set this to quarters, that means it will snap to quarters. If I snap this to 16ths, you'll see the grid change to show that it's the subdivisions for 16ths, and that means the event will always snap to the start of each of those, like so. Now, if we go back to the grid setting up here, you'll notice that we have grid relative. I won't cover this one. It's not that much different to using grid. We have events, shuffle, and cursor. These are the three that tend to get overlooked. If we select event, that means when we select one of these events here and drag it around, it will snap to an event that's sort of like above it or below it. So the start of this event will always snap to the edge of this event here in blue. And then if we drag it this way, it'll snap to the end of an event as well. If I bring it over here, you'll see it's not snapping to anything because there's no events present that it can get for reference. So this is really handy if you want to line up like hits, whooshes and bangs, because I know for a fact that many of you will be doing this. If you've just imported a whoosh and you're trying to line it up to the end of the grid, you probably turn off the grid settings, zoom in like so, and then drag it over like this until it's lined up. And then you would turn the grid back on and then just trim the ends so it's like nice and tidy. I know a lot of people would be doing that, but if you set it to events and you have an event there already, you can just go plonk and it will snap to it, which is pretty cool. Another one we have here is called cursor. Now, let's say there are no events present and you're trying to sync up a whoosh or something to a specific point, then you can set this to cursor, put your cursor on the bar or the first beat of the bar or wherever it is you want. And that means now when we drag an event, it will snap to both sides. So it will snap to the back. And if we drag it beyond it and back, it will snap to the start as well. Okay, so this is really useful. No matter where the play bar is, the cursor, the scrub bar, whatever you like to call it, it will always snap to it, like so. Now, a really interesting one is called shuffle. So here we have these beautifully colored events to demonstrate what shuffle does. So when shuffle is active, if I delete an event between two events, the event after it will nudge down or shuffle down. So that means if I delete this orange event, you'll see that the blue event moves down to it. If I want to rearrange some events, I could do this. Let's say I want to swap the blue and green around. I could grab the blue, drag it over to the right, and it will swap it with the green. Really easy stuff. Simple to use. And it also saves you from doing another thing that I know people do, especially if you're like editing drum parts or you're just trying to rearrange things around, and that is moving one of the boxes completely out of the way, doing a cut and paste job, or dragging it around, and then you're doing this. You don't need to. You've got shuffle. It's really handy. It's also useful if you want to delete like sections of events because you don't like something. You want to delete it and have everything snap down into place. Like so. Really simple and really useful. Now you've got some additional ones here, so they combine the various different snap types. So you have grid and cursor. So this one means that the event will snap to if it's a bar, beat, or if we're using the quantize setting. But also, depending on where the cursor is or the play bar, for example, it will also snap to that. So if we turn the grid snap off and then put it back on here, you'll see we can also snap it to the cursor as well, like so. So these basically just combine what's already up here, so you can have multiple different ones. And you do have this one called grid, events, and cursor, so it's a combination of the main three. So that's pretty much it. That's grid types or snap types inside of Cubase. And I'm sure there'll be at least one person that watches this and goes, bollocks, I can't believe I've been doing it so awkward for so long when trying to line up one of these events to the end of a bar. I know I did when I found out about these. Man, you just have one of them moments where you just think you're completely stupid. If you found this video useful, obviously give it a thumbs up. If you haven't, give it a thumbs down. If you've got any suggestions for other videos or things you want to ask, I can do a video on, then by all means do so.